It is our pleasure to be joined by the 2016 Biletnikoff Award winner. He also happened to be a Heisman Trophy finalist. Dede Westbrook is in the house. Dede, what's going on, man?
Hey man, what's up, man? How's it going? Thank you guys for having me.
We're excited to have you. So, of course, we want to talk some football with you, but man, you got other things going on right now. Tell us what a food truck. You've got a mobile car washing service. Like you, entrepreneurial spirit, man. So I know that fans, they love supporting former players, especially ones that had the impact that you did. So tell us about everything you got going on and how fans can support you.
Man, so I got the mobile detail going, detailing company. How that came about pretty much was I love vehicles, right? I have like 14 cars myself, and
Oh,
I'm
wait,
into
hang on.
like,
Whoa. Let's hear some of these cars. I want to hear what you got. What's your
I
favorite
got
one?
some. I got some of the older cars. So I have a 1973 Cadillac DeVille four door. I have a 1953 Bel Air Chevy Bel Air. Then I have a 1976 Cadillac Limousine. There was only 1,000 made in the country, so I happened to get my hands on one. So I'm more into like those type of older
Classics.
cars, like restoring them. They're all when I get them, I pretty much buy the frame. As soon as I get them, I take them straight to the paint shop and to interior guy, classic rim and tires, so stuff like that.
Love it. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, so that set you on the path of doing the detail stuff, huh?
Yeah, so I was like, I got all these nice older classy cars. Hell, I gotta wash them. So that kind of got me. So that kind of got me started with the detailing company and crossing over to like the food truck, the food industry. You know how guys are whenever they go to new places, right? And they always try to find something to connect them with home, and me being from Texas, and when I came up to OU, one of those things that I kind of connect and vibe with is food, right? And so whenever I came about, I'm trying to look and try to find different things that can kind of connect me because us all being ball players, you get that Christmas and the Thanksgiving, but some of the times you plan, throughout those holidays at times, you know what I mean? To the point where actual Thanksgiving, you're actually practicing, but you get like the week off before or something like that. And so I was like, okay, so what is it that I can do? To bring these guys and the people around this area that's traveling from all over to come here and go to school here or, play sports here. What's something that can connect them with home as they're here, And so that was pretty much started the food truck as far as the comfort food, the soul food. I think it's a taste that pretty much everybody can kind of grasp and catch hold to. It reminds you of like Thanksgiving, Christmas, holidays with family. So that type of feel.
So is the food truck, is it going to be rolling around Norman on game day? Like where can people find it?
So I actually got a contract set up with Cohiba Lounge. It's right there on Campus Corner. The address is 105 East Boyd Street, Norman, Oklahoma. So we there from Thursday to Saturday from 4 o'clock p.m. until sell out. And we usually sell out. Right now it's been kind of crazy. So we selling out around like 10:30, pretty early. We're also going to be stationed at that same spot on game day. Earlier game days we'll be out there around 7 a.m., tailgating and everything. So
It's going to be cool. Game days, they're going to be wild. And, as we move into the SEC, you feel like it's going to be even crazier. Like,
right.
what's it been like? When's the last time you've been around campus to see a game, see what it's like on game day?
Spring game, this past
Yeah,
spring game. I mean, obviously, it's not really a game day, but shit, when you got
kind of
70,
was that day.
I was gonna say, when you got 70 some thousand people in the stands, that's sort of like a game day somewhere else for sure.
Yeah,
But
it was a lot of fun. So now I'm excited that you got all these things going on, but are you still trying to play? Because I know you were with the Vikings last year. Like, are you still training, staying in shape, just waiting on that call?
yeah, most definitely. So I think I got about 3 to 4 more years in me before I hang it up. I've always told myself I wanted like 9 to 10 years. I think I'll be okay with that. Get in, take care of my business, and come out of it healthy. That's obviously the end goal. And right now I'm rolling into year 6. So at any moment, obviously I can be gone. That's kind of what you and I spoke about earlier this week. I kind of don't really know my schedule at this point, but I'm glad I was able to take the call for sure.
What's your health been like? I know you had the ACL, recovered from that. Are you fully healthy, ready to roll?
Yes, sir. Fully healthy and ready to go. Like I said, I'm just sitting here waiting on a phone call, and I know it's going to happen here pretty soon. It's just the receiver market right now is kind of crazy considering the fact of all the money that's kind of been going on and how the market is kind of like swayed. So it's only a matter of time, right? So I say within the next week or two, we'll have something going.
Yeah, and in my experience, that call's going to come when you're like in the middle of dinner or when you're going to be in the middle of doing something. You're gonna be like, really? Okay, yeah, I'll get on that next flight.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's exactly.
That's the craziest part. That's the craziest part about the business, because like you can literally be anywhere, right? Like, and you have no idea, and they call, and you kind of gotta go, like, and they pretty much book flights same day. You know what I mean? So it's like, grab a t-shirt and some shorts and get on the plane.
Yeah,
Everything else can be shipped to you.
Where,
yeah.
so where are you right now? Are you in the area right now? Where are you doing your training? Where's all that going down?
So I bought a home in Moore last August. So I bought my forever home here in Moore, which is where I am now. So I train out here in Oklahoma every day. I have my trainer come up from Dallas, so he's a Dallas resident, but he comes here and he lives with me throughout the whole training process. And then I go to like my rehabilitation. It's not really rehab, but maintenance, staying up to date, like massages and cryo and different things of that nature right here in Moore as well. At the OSSPT Center. So it's right off of 19th Street. So everything is pretty like local and convenient. And then I have full access to obviously Morris High School, and I can travel down to OU whenever I want to get around athletes or, anything of that nature. So everything is pretty convenient.
Yeah, I got a feeling that if you call some of those quarterbacks at OU and you're like, "Hey man, can I catch some balls?" They're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna throw. I would love to throw to a guy that was a Heisman finalist. That sounds fun."
Yeah, for sure. I actually got the chance to meet Dylan Gabriel for the first time. Cool guy, man. Very open to ideas. We kind of talked about, like transitioning, from obviously college football and to the NFL, and pretty much he was talking about his transition from UCF to, Oklahoma. Obviously, there's like a difference as far as like getting to know the system, learning everybody, being around new people and the university, obviously, the fan base, the aspects of things. And seems like a really cool, down to earth guy.
What's kind of been your impression with the new staff, Venables and Jeff Levy coming in as offensive coordinator? What have you seen from them that you like?
Well, man, I actually haven't got the chance to sit down and talk to Coach Venables nor Levy yet, but I intend to soon. I just try to be out of the way. Like I've been out to a practice before, and things were obviously intense. It's training camp practice or 2 a days. We all know how that goes, and so I was just kind of staying out the way, getting a feel for everything. But everything they have going on, like the whole offensive correlations and everything of that nature, like I like it. I'm not really a defensive guy. No disrespect, Coach Venables, but. Uh, but I like everything that they have going on, like I'm super excited for the year. And I be telling those guys all the time, like, never mind me. I'm just a super fan. You know what I mean? I'm an alumni now. I'm just a super fan. And there's nothing nobody can say about you guys, and I wouldn't have your back.
I'm telling you right now, they're going to want to bring you back in the fold, man. They're doing a really good job of making sure that the former players feel welcome and that it kind of feels like that OU family that we always talk about. So you're probably going to get a couple calls after this, if I had to
Right.
guess.
Yeah. As long as they don't get rid of those Rice Krispie treats in the nutrition bar, I'll be there every week. Yeah, as long as they don't get rid of those, that's my go-to.
You're gonna have to pull the food truck up after a practice one day, and
I saw some of the guys, some of the current players tweeting about it. Like, did you hook them up, or how'd that work? I know that they had all made their way out there.
Right. So Jaden Davis, right? So Jaden Davis and I, a cornerback at OU, we've been knowing each other for about 3-4 years now. And so he's like a food truck guy, right? Like it's crazy because I was driving throughout Norman one time. I was actually in my detailing van, and so I was driving and I seen his car. I'm like, what the hell is he doing? So I go over to him and he's literally standing outside of a long line of a food truck. And I'm like, what you doing? And he was just like, man, I'm hungry as hell. I want some food, right? And I love eating food off food trucks. And so I was like, well, man, I'm in the process of opening up a food truck. He was like, oh shit, for real? And I was like, yeah. And then he asked me about where it was going to be. And then I told him. So he kind of recruited the guys to come and eat it for the first time. You know what I mean? And obviously they ate it and they loved it. Like, and I'm not really big on like throwing business stuff onto people. Like if you come, you come. If you like it, you know, I love it. You know what I mean? But he fell in love with it. He said he was good. Now I don't know if he's saying that, you know what I mean, because we're good friends, or if he actually mean it. But we'll see. You guys may have to come out and try it yourself. So.
Oh, I'm trying it. Like, there's no doubt.
Now, hey, I love everything, but if you can get Gabe to sign off, because Gabe he is a foodie, man. That is his specialty.
I tweet a lot of food pictures, a lot.
Okay, so some of the stuff on the menu, we got catfish, we got shrimp, we got Cajun pasta, burgers. When the sides, we got like mac and cheese,
Ooh.
green beans, yams.
Oh.
Desserts, we got like strawberry cookies, cookies and cream cookies, just different things.
We may have to put a sexual content warning on this episode. My goodness. That sounds.
It's some pretty good food. Like, we've been kind of busy. Like, DeMarco hit me up. Well, his wife hits me up yesterday, and she wanted me to come and do an event over at their house. I think there's like an offensive staff meeting going on, but it's just tough right now, right? Because we locked into the contract with Cohiba, you know, and I don't really want to get into that. So I told her, like, for sure, like, we can cater it, you know, and then OU having like a full athletes thing this Sunday, you know, and they invited us to come out to that. So obviously we're only locked in the contract with them from Thursday to Saturday. So Sunday we're free to kind of go wherever we want. So I think we're going to go to the whole athletes back to campus thing this Sunday for OU. So they've been like pretty involved, you know what I mean? Like trying to help me expand and get some recognition. So that's great.
Good stuff, man. I'll tell you, Cajun, you had me at Cajun pasta and fried catfish.
Right. See, but the Cajun pasta, you can put your own little spin on it. Like, so the menu is still like open, right? So we have people that come and honestly like design their own plate. They be like, could you throw the Cajun pasta on top of the catfish? You know what I mean? And they just like be making stuff up, you know, because the menu is like so free and open. And with that Cajun pasta, you can throw sausages in there, shrimp in there, chicken. We haven't had anybody throw all three in there yet, but we're still waiting on that.
I've got an idea. I've got it, and it'll, you know, the marketing is easy. You let Teddy, who is, along with yourself, one of the most loved former players when it comes to OU fans, let him design his own thing. Call it the Lehman. You're going to sell it out every time.
That'll be dope. Hey, we can for sure, like I said, the menu is still open. Like, we can for sure do that. I had Kenny Stills hit me up. I'm sure we all know who Kenny Stills is. And he told me his mother, you know, makes like some sauce that you can kind of mix in with the catfish that we're serving. And he wanted to throw that on the menu. And I was like, hell yeah, you can. You know what I mean? Like, that's the point, right? We all coming together, you know, and doing something. And like, kind of like Ryan Broyles over at the porch, right? When it's time to go to a bar of any sort, like, I know which bar I'm choosing. And obviously that's Ryan Broyles' bar, you know? And that's kind of that connection and relationship that we all have amongst each other as far as former players. You know, we support and we look after each other. And so it's just one of those things. Like, Kenny hit me up about the sauce, and I'm like, hell yeah. Like, all you got to do is like either send your mother here or send the recipe and we'll get it on the menu.
I got to tell you, the first time someone was trying to explain to me catfish spaghetti, I was very skeptical. But whenever I finally tried it, I was in Jacksonville. I know what it's all about. It's amazing. And I would never have thought that those two things go together, but it's amazing. I love it.
Man, you guys have to try it. So like I said, we open up tomorrow at 4 over there at Cohiba Lounge, man. You guys should just come out and try it and give me some good feedback or what you guys think, what needs to be done. Because at the end of the day, we're trying to get over the hump. The curve is still the beginning phase. So all feedback matters.
Yeah. Okay. So I do want to dive into kind of your journey to OU, because I think I remember reading about it, you know, what, you know, like the end of the high school years for you and that injury, and then ending up at Blinn and then eventually making it to OU. What was that path like, man? Because I think it's one of those stories that a lot of people probably don't know. And it was so interesting to me at the time.
Man, it's crazy, right? Because NFL was never a part of the picture, right? And I go every day like waking up like, God, like I'm beyond blessed, right? Because not only am I getting to do what I love, I'm able to change like my life, you know, my children's life, my family's lives, right? And so going over to Blinn, it was just one of those situations where it was just like fun, right? Like, this is just what I love to do. I'm playing the game. Like, where I'm from, nobody has ever made it to the professional level. Like, I'm from Cameron, Texas, small town, population of 5,000 people. So I'm the first person to ever go and accomplish the things that I've accomplished, you know, as far as like in the sports industry. But go over to Bland, and JUCO football is different for sure. You know, like very, very different, to the point where it's like if you want clean clothes, you have to take it home and wash it in your own wash and dryer. Uh, you don't get gloves and cleats. You got to go to Hibbett Sports if you want to dress nice and swaggy every week. Like, you got to go spend your own money to get towels and all that other type of stuff. So it was just different, man. And my journey came about with OU. I didn't know a thing about OU, right? Didn't know one thing about Oklahoma. The things that I did know was Sam Bradford. You know, I knew Adrian Peterson. I knew DeMarco Murray, but I never knew where these guys played ball at. You know what I mean? So kind of how the offer came about, I was out there on the practice field at Bland, and all the guys came up and was like, dude, like, OU's here, OU's here. Like, what the fuck? Like, OU's here, right? So everybody was going crazy. Now, these guys are like from Houston, you know, they're like from all over. So they are around football. They've seen the guys that they've dreamed of go and play professional football. So they know all about OU, right? And so me, I'm from a small town Texas kid, so I have no idea. So I go in, and as soon as I walk in, guess who's sitting there? Coach Gundy, right? So this is why from the beginning I did not like Coach Gundy. So when I walk in, right, Coach Gundy is sitting in my head coach's office, and he had like a recliner chair like the one I have. So he's leaned back in the recliner chair, hands behind his head, feet on the desk, like on the table when I walk in, right? So I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, who's this guy, right? And so I walk in. As soon as he said the first words to me, he said was, what's your top schools? Like, what's your top 5 schools? Right. So of course I gave him all Texas schools. I was like Baylor, Texas A&M, Texas Tech. You know what I mean? I just gave him all Texas school. He was like, well, I didn't hear OU anywhere in your top 5. And then I was like, well, coach, to be honest, like, I don't really know too much about OU. He was like, well, I'm gonna tell you this. Those schools that you just named are Ford F-150s, and OU is your Mercedes Benz. So you pick and choose which car you want to drive. And I'm like, well, I am kind of a car guy, so. So, and yeah, so, but when he said that to me, like, in my mind, I was like, okay, well, I want to go somewhere and play against you guys, you know, and like beat y'all since y'all are that good, right? And yeah, by the time I finished that, I get a phone call from my mother, and I answered. I'm like, hello, and she was like, Dede, you would never believe who's sitting here at the house. And I'm like, who? And she was like, Coach Stoops. Like, I'm sitting here talking to Coach Stoops. So Coach Stoops was in my hometown, as Coach Gundy was there with me. And so I ended up getting in a car with them, drove out to Texas. They ended up setting me up on an official visit. And I went there solely off the strength because of my mother, right? She was just like, Dede, you have to go. Like, I love Coach Stoops. He means the world to me. So I went. They set me up with Sterling, and I literally committed the same day. Like, I got here, like, the college atmosphere, and I don't think they could have picked a better host besides Sterling, you know, because it was just like the things that he accomplished here at the university and how they treated him, you know, and I was like, that's what I want. You know what I mean? Like, that's who I want to be. And so I never really had anybody that I looked up to because I didn't know anybody like NFL wise. So Sterling is like, it's crazy because I think he still noticed today, like, that's who I try to model myself after, because it was like that was the closest person to me as far as football. You know what I mean? So yeah, so he kind of, him and Baker was like my host as well, but it was Baker and Sterling. So yeah, man, that's kind of how I got to OU.
That's pretty. It's a crazy story. We're very thankful for your mom convincing you to come to Oklahoma. But even, you know, whenever you got rolling here, it was fairly quiet until boom, you had that huge day. Was it TCU, right?
Right,
Whenever
correct.
you had that huge day, and then from that point on, it was, you know, it was
Right.
wild.
See,
From
so
that.
so going into it, like training camp, I had like kind of strained my hamstring, right? And so Coach Stoops, I kind of told Coach Stoops about it, and he was kind of like, well, Dede, I don't want to mark you off, you know, as far as like not playing, because we don't want people to game plan against us as far as you not being out there. He was like, so if you can go, try to go, you know, and I'm one of those like people like, fuck, if I can play, I'm gonna play, you know, or if I can try to at least. And so it was kind of one of those situations, but I'm not sure if you guys remember, but after that ULM, I think we played Houston, ULM, then Ohio State, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
But after
started
that
1-2.
yeah, yeah. After that Ohio State game, remember we had the bye week rolling into TCU. And so throughout that bye week, you know, I was able to sit down with Coach Stoops one-on-one and told him like what I needed to do. And I was like, man, what I need to do is rest, right? Because I'm out there practicing and I'm training and I know what my hamstring is doing. And so he gave me that opportunity to rest for that week, rolling into the next week. And that's kind of how the whole big year happened.
Yeah, 1,524 yards receiving and 17 touchdowns. That's definitely a big year, man. When you think back on that 2016 season, man, what are some of your favorite memories?
Texas. I mean,
What,
obviously, right?
234?
That's the record, right? That was
like
broke the record.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing about Texas, right? I had like obviously Texas is in my backyard, like UT, right? I'm 40 minutes away from Austin, my hometown. And every school in the Big 12 offered me except UT. Like that was the only school that didn't offer. Now, granted, it was in between periods of Mac Brown leaving and Coach Charlie Strong being hired. You know, like it was during that phase. But obviously that was like a huge game for not only me but Baker as well. Like we would be in the locker room talking about it, and he'd hype me up. Dede, they ain't fucking give you an offer. You know what I mean? Like you know how it is in the locker room. So it was like one of those things, and I was like, hell yeah, bro, you right. You know, so
You're right. They did it.
Yeah. So we kind of put that chip on our shoulder and went out there. And obviously, like we always from that area. It's crazy because obviously you got Samaj. You know, he's from what is it? San Antonio area, Austin, I believe. You got Samaj. You had Dimitri Flowers, San Antonio. You had Baker right in Austin. Then you had me, which was 40 minutes from Austin. And all those guys played a huge point in obviously winning that OUUT game. And I was like, dang, like that's gotta suck. But like you know what I mean? That's gotta suck.
Well,
So they should have fired the whole staff then.
You know, obviously you had a good relationship with Baker. You guys had that connection that was just unbelievable. You still talk to him? Have you
Yeah,
been
so
able to
Baker
stay close?
and I, man, it's like crazy. I mean, you guys may have heard the story before, but how me and Baker connected on another level, it was deeper than football, so to say, right? So when I first got to OU, Smitty, we all know Smitty. I was kind of late at the beginning, you know, to like workouts. We had 5:30 in the morning workouts, and I was having car trouble, so I was late, right? So I was on the Stairmaster every day. And so Baker comes up to me and he was like, man, what's going on? Like, why are you late to practice every day? And then I was like, man, I be having car trouble, you know, and he was like, man, we in this thing together. You know what I mean? Like where you live and I'll come to you and like make sure you get to workouts and stuff on time, you know? And so, like I said, we had 5:30 in the morning workouts and I stayed 15 minutes, 20 minutes away from campus. Baker stayed on campus, right off Lindsay. And Baker, he had his Toyota Camry. It was probably like a 1996, y'all. Black Toyota Camry, right? And so Baker pulls up at my house at like 5 o'clock every morning, which means he had to wake up at 4:30, you know? So he was making that ultimate sacrifice just so I can get to practice on time. You know what I mean? And it really had nothing to do with him because at the end of the day, I was the one on the Stairmaster, you know, but it was just the fact of him, like, that's just who he is as a person, you know? So he was just going out his way, making sure I got to practice on time. And of course, those car rides to and from practice pretty much developed that relationship to the point where when we got out on the field together, it was just all chemistry, all uphill from there. So
Probably really quiet on the way to workouts, but on the way home, probably a little more talking, right?
Right. I mean, we just talked about everything. Like he knew everything. Like he knew my life, my childhood, vice versa, you know, like, so it was just that point of us just riding 15, 20 minutes and developing a relationship. So it was like when we got out on the field, like I would go to bat for him way outside of football. Like it wasn't even a football thing. Like even right now today, you know, when we speak to each other, it's never really about ball, right? It's just about everything that's going on in each other's lives. So that's my guy. That's my dog.
So with with that relationship you had with them, how cool was it going through the Heisman experience with him that year, right? What was it? Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, you, Baker, and I think Peppers.
Yeah.
How was that, just on your own, but also just going through it with a guy that you were so close to?
Man, it was dope, man. It was dope. Like that Heisman experience, all that stuff was dope. Like if I can change one thing about that, the only thing that I would change is the food, right? Because it was all like I'm not a fancy guy at all. You know what I mean? Like I'm pretty much like McDonald's, like I'm that type of guy, right? Waterburger. And we was there and they was giving us steaks on chips, right? And it's like, what the fuck? Like, I ain't never had that before. At that time, I had never even had a steak before, and now they giving me steak. And I'm like, hey man, where's you guys' closest McDonald's, right? And it was crazy. I may have sounded like a brat, but we literally had a guy for every meal go and get me McDonald's and bring it back to like to the ceremony. I swear. And like Baker was like, dude, like, what are you doing? Like all this good food here and you choosing to eat McDonald's, you can get McDonald's back in Oklahoma. And I'm like, yeah, you don't understand. McDonald's tastes different in every state. So that was the objective for me. But it was a really good time, man. And it's so crazy because Baker would literally come into my room before and he'd be like, do you have your Heisman speech ready? And I'm like, Baker, what the hell is you talking about? And he was like, Dede, you do realize there's like a huge possibility of you winning this thing. And I'm like, there's no, like those moments was just surreal. Like he was doing the same thing at the award ceremony for Biletnikoff as well. He was like, you got your speech? And I was like, for what? And he was like, Dede, like, you're gonna win. And it's just like one of those moments, right? Like I had no clue. So when I went up there, I was like, like I wasn't expecting it. I was just along for the ride.
Whenever he told you, do you have your speech ready? Did you get like instant nerves?
Right, nervous as hell. Like it was bad. Like the whole thing was bad.
Speech. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, like the whole thing was bad. And then he got on to me, right? Because like I wear my favorite socks. So if you go back, I think there's a picture taken. I had my favorite socks on, and Baker's like, "Dude, aren't you gonna put on like church socks? Like the little thin ones?" And I was like, "Nah, these are my favorite socks." And he was like, "You look like a jackass with those socks on, right?" Because they did not match my suit at all. Like it was like bad. And so I went and I think they snuck a picture on me. I might try to find that picture and send it to you guys, but they like snuck a picture of me with my pants up and you can actually see the socks. It's like, it was just bad. My mother was like, what the hell?
Oh, that's so good. So,
yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, just when it comes to the NFL stuff, how do you feel it's gone? Man, I know it's been a little up and down for you, a couple injuries. Just where are you at kind of mentally with what your career's been like up to this point?
Oh man, at the end of the day, like the NFL is you guys know, it's kind of like all about opportunities, right? Like, could I still play ball? Like, yes, obviously, you know what I'm saying? I can still play ball, but it's also about the opportunities. You get what I'm saying? So it's like whether if you put in that position, would you be able to take it by the horns and go full fledged? And it's like I know that I can still do that, right? But it's just the only thing is like the opportunity. Like if I can get that opportunity to go out there and showcase, my talents or what it is that I can and cannot do, I feel like I would be better off. My career would be better off, like it. Obviously, it has a lot to do with me though. Like coming into the Minnesota year off of tearing my ACL, it kind of stinks because they I thought it was a good thing, but they were like, hey, we're going to let you miss training camp to like rehab your knee, build your knee up, get strength within your knee. And I was like, okay, like good. Like that sounds like they're looking out for my health, but obviously throughout that training camp process, there are guys competing every single day, getting better every single day, and so then rolling into the season, I'm like, hey, yeah, like I'm ready to go. But then KJ Osborne had a freaking phenomenal training camp, and obviously with the way of ball, like you pretty much ride that wave all the way out until you can't ride it anymore. And that's kind of how the situation came about in Minnesota, and so they just had me like primary punt returner. But going into it, they wanted me to come there and play wide receiver 3 outside of Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. And they were like, Dede, we're going to give you this month off to, rehab, get your legs stronger because it's a long season. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, that's great. But then they turned around to like kind of bite me in the end. And then also like now it's kind of like the same situation, right? It's like I'm sitting here, I'm doing my everyday training every day, but then the season is 2 weeks away. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, now you're kind of back in that same situation that you were just in last year. It's kind of hard to showcase your ability throughout season. You know what I'm saying? Unless there's like major injuries or something like that, but like everything is won throughout OTAs and training camp, like every job. So it's just one of those things. But at the end of the day, like I trust the process, and and this isn't the first time my back has been against the wall, and I know how to come out swinging, so I'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough to get that chemistry too, if you just
Right.
roll into the season without having a bunch of reps together. Any ideas? Like, are there any places where you feel like you could roll in and have some chemistry there, or maybe you've talked to your agent, or some people on the roster, just a couple of places maybe you have your eye on?
Right now my agent is pretty much saying Minnesota is still an option. Like they've been circling around and coming back, but Buffalo and Green Bay Packers. And I think for me, like the best business decision, if we're speaking like business, I think Green Bay would be a great business decision. Granted, obviously Devontae Adams leave, and then you seeing the stuff on the internet or TV about Aaron Rodgers talking about the younger receiving core. So I think that'd be a great fit for me, but at the end of the day, it's not really my decision, right? Whenever they pretty much need me, I got to be there to go and soak up the game like a sponge and pretty much learn the playbook so I can get out there as soon as possible.
If you go to Green
Yeah.
Bay, you're going to have to drive that food truck up there. I don't know if there's much food in around that area. Very small town. There's not many options. You will have McDonald's though, I think.
Right, for sure. I was actually we played when I was in Minnesota. Obviously, we played Green Bay, and that was my first time going. And I didn't realize like the stadium was literally in the middle of the town, so to say. You know what I'm saying? Like it's right dead in the middle. And then they were telling me like every fan or every person that stay within the city owns a share of the NFL team. And I was like, damn, that's crazy. Like I was talking to a guy just randomly talking. He was like, yeah, man, I'm part owner of the Packers. I'm like, there's no fucking way. Like, there's no way. And then come to find out, he really is. Come to find out, he really
They
is.
are, but they aren't.
Yeah,
It's a
like
weird
he was like,
thing
yeah,
how
I'm
those
part owner.
shares
And I
work.
was like, boy, there's no way. Like, get the hell out of here.
He
And
may be
yeah.
part owner, but I don't think he's getting part of the profit.
Correct. Well,
But,
Dede, man, this was awesome. Obviously, everyone go eat at Dede Westbrook's food truck. You can find it there in Norman, man. This was great. Thanks for the time, bro.
oh, thank you. Thank you, guys.